QB is going to be the area where you're going to win or lose your draft this year. I'm telling you, I've got a cheat code at the QB position. My name is Kevin Allen, aka the Geek from DFS Army. This is the Bowl Call Fantasy Football Podcast, and we are taking a look at top QB rankings for best ball, for season long, for whatever. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you straight up that I've been doing fantasy football longer than as long as it gets. My fantasy football years goes back to 2004. That's when I started. It's when I discovered it on Yahoo. And it took me a couple of seasons to figure out that the ultimate cheat code in redraft was generally at the QB position. Waiting on the QB gave you a strategic advantage. Because as your opponents are taking a quarterback, let's say in round 2 or 3, you are still acquiring a stud level position player where you can't really get those stud level position players, or you have to get super lucky to get one later in your draft, right? So in round 6, 7, 8, you're taking players that are under exciting for a reason. They're there for a reason. So every once in a while, you'll find a player that exceeds ADP, and check out the video I just did with Alan Sislowski talking about players that can outplay their ADPs. And we have those names that will pop up and outplay their ADP. Fine. But they're few and far between. So how do you win at fantasy football? Well, one of the best things is gain a positional advantage somewhere. If you're taking a wide receiver in round 2 and your opponent's taking Josh Allen, well, Josh Allen's really good, Kev. Why can I take him? Well, because the wide receiver I'm getting in round 2 is really, really good, where the QB, so if I get Josh Allen in round 2, right, instead of, let's say, a wide receiver like, I don't know, AJ Brown or Puka Nacua or somebody like that, right? And so I skip round 2, I take a quarterback there. And then I take a quarterback instead. So then I go to round 6 or 7, I'm getting a wide receiver. Now I'm getting kind of a guy that you're just hoping doesn't suck. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Jordan Addison, those kind of guys where, yeah, it could work out. They could exceed expectations, but I'm taking a lot of risk there. So the cheat code for fantasy football redraft for me has always been waiting, being one of the last players in my league to take a quarterback. Now, some of that was destroyed by Superflex, right? So Dynasty and a lot of these leagues are Superflex. Now, I can't really do that, and that's fine. But best ball formats and most of our redraft leagues are not Superflex. So what I'm going to talk about today are I've got my QB rankings up over here, and we're going to compare them a little bit to ADP and all of that. And I do have some spots where I'm really excited. But what I really want to talk about are some flag plant quarterbacks that you can take later on in your draft that have the potential to even elevate to QB 1 overall, but certainly have a great chance of keeping up with the top crew, the Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson types that people are taking, or even Josh Allen types that people are taking very, very early in the draft. So with that being said, I'm just going to briefly go through the rankings. Then I'm going to talk about those cheat code players that you're going to be getting much, much later in drafts than even where they show up in my rankings. But most importantly, well outside of the stud zone of position players. So, of course, I have on screen the rankings that I have over on dfsarmy.com. You can always access my stuff by clicking on Season Long Fantasy on the dfsarmy.com website and click on Best Ball Rankings. And, of course, for DFS Army subscribers, this is here for you all the time. Check it out anytime, right? If you aren't subscribed to DFS Army, get in there. Our NFL subscription is 12 months. We've got a season long. So it goes through the off season as well. You stay in our Discord. You stay with the group. We do best ball in the off season. We talk dynasty and all that good stuff. So we're there. We're answering questions, all of that all throughout the year. And you can get one membership. It covers DFS and all NFL stuff. You can grab that now. I know it's early. It's July. I don't need to pay now. You know what? What's the difference? Go grab it now. Enjoy it if you want. With that being said, of course, I've got Josh Allen number 1 overall. He's lost a couple of weapons, but he's gained some other weapons on the team. Dalton Kincaid next year, and Josh Allen is just a man and whatever. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't think I'll ever draft Josh Allen this year. He's going his ADP. Let's take a look at it actually on Underdog, right? All right, so here we go. QB. So Josh Allen goes number 37 overall on Underdog. The beginning of round 4. If we look at the overall rankings, let's just see who's around at the beginning of round 4. So you still can get, let's see here. Yeah, Travis Kelce available, George Pickens, Amari Cooper still on the board, Zay Flowers on the board, Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Etienne are on the board. All of these pretty studly position players are still floating around, even when that first QB goes. So I actually, Underdog's very sharp, and Allen is going much later. These quarterbacks are going much later on Underdog than they will in your redraft league or even on DraftKings. You know what? I want to pull that up. Yeah, and on DraftKings, there he is, the same. He's 36 overall. So again, still actually pretty sharp. I'm glad to see finally, I guess, that QBs aren't going in the top 3 rounds. Right at the end of round 3, Josh Allen goes off the board. So actually a fairly appropriate valuation, or more appropriate valuation for him, and I don't hate him there. But with that being said, waiting on QB is going to give us the biggest edge. So continuing on, I've got my QB rankings up here. Josh Allen, number 1 overall. Jalen Hurts, number 2. Jalen Hurts should bounce back from what was a bit of an injury-riddled 2023. The tush push, though, keeps him in play. So he didn't do much with his arm in 2023. It showed with kind of mediocre seasons for Devontae Smith and definitely Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown, all those guys. A.J. Brown had kind of a poor second half. A lot of that was just like Hurts not being that good last year. Now, I'm not sure what happened, but I did hear he was banged up, and he's going to be healthy now. So we could get, healthy Hurts back and the tush push and all of that. I think Saquon Barkley being there might hurt him a little bit. But again, there's no need to really reach for QBs this early. Pat Mahomes, number 3 overall. Mahomes has added a ton of weaponry out there in KC. And, the emergence of Rashee Rice, we'll see how much he plays this year. But they added Marquise Hollywood Brown. They added a first-round wide receiver in the draft. And, Kelce coming back, whatever that's worth. So the Chiefs let's think about the beginning of 2023. The Chiefs come into the season with no established WR1, a whole bunch of garbage guys on the team. Justin Watson is playing every snap. Martez Valdez-Scantling is playing most of the snaps. Sky Moore is in the mix, and all these scrubs, right? So this year, it's quite the opposite. There's almost too many mouths to feed. Hollywood Brown is a WR1 in his own regard. Rashee Rice, breakout last year. We'll see when he comes. As of now, he's not suspended. We'll see what happens. But he emerged later in the year for Pat Mahomes. Of course, Kelce coming back, and now with less focus on Kelce. Last year, opposing defenses could and did focus in exclusively on stopping Kelce because there were no other weapons. There were no other weapons there that could distract them from that. So now you'll get the more productive version of Kelce, probably. And that was it. So much improved weapons for Mahomes. He's still the best QB in the league. Great. QB3 overall. Love this guy. Fine. But here's where we get to cheat code number 1, and that's Anthony Richardson. Now, I've got Richardson ranked as my QB4 overall. That is probably higher than most rankings, who will probably put him behind Lamar Jackson and CJ Stroud, whatever. To me, Anthony Richardson was doing everything right, everything that we wanted a QB to be doing before he got hurt last year. He was getting it done with his legs. The arm looked good. Deep ball, fine. Could run for touchdowns. He was doing everything we want. And I think that Anthony Richardson, bold call coming right now, could elevate himself to the top scoring fantasy quarterback overall in 2024. And you're getting him as the QB5, maybe in most drafts, QB6. So again, we're getting him a little bit later in drafts. Let's take a look at DraftKings and see where he goes. All right, I'm going to have to do some scrolling here to look for it, but there's Lamar Jackson at 43 overall, Mahomes at 45, crazy. Anthony Richardson, player 59, right after CJ Stroud. So definitely, if you're using my rankings, you're getting Anthony Smith on your team because I've got him ranked ahead of some of these other QBs. Now, Richardson, what did I say? Just poor. Richardson has elevated injury risk. He's a running QB. there's some concerns there, of course. But that same concern goes for any rushing QB. So YOLO. Now he's cheat code number 1, but I have a more aggressive one. So continue on with my rankings. I've got my QB5 is Lamar Jackson. More of the same with Lamar, guys. Don't expect that much. Don't expect anything different. I think that Baltimore will continue to run their offense the way they always do. Lamar Jackson's always a little overrated because there's all this talk about we're gonna become a higher passing offense. Don't listen to any of that. Baltimore wants to run the football and play defense, and as soon as they take a lead, the way that they play, they go into a shell. They don't risk the quarterback. They don't want to take chances. You don't really see Lamar Jackson running around like a lunatic. Lamar Jackson's best games will come when he is playing from behind or in some sort of insane up-tempo scoring bonanza like what they did with Miami. I think it was last year when Tua went off in weeks 2 or 3, whenever it was that they played Miami, and it was a 40, 50-point affair. Make no mistake, though, Baltimore wants to play conservative, smash mouth, run the football type of football. And that means lots and lots of down games for Lamar over the course of a season. He's a GPP only play and generally almost always overpriced on DraftKings because of that 40-point upside that he only shows a couple times a year. So don't be fooled. I will not be drafting Lamar this year. I don't see any reason to. He's ranked ahead of Anthony Richardson, who I like more. CJ Stroud was a bit of a phenomenon last year. I think more of the same this year, but keeping in mind with Stroud, he doesn't give you any legs or anything like that. He's just really good and got a lot of weapons, more weapons this year than ever before. Perfectly happy to go into a season with CJ Streezy as my QB. But again, he's going in the 50s. We can wait a little bit more. Get another stud player. Pick up another running back. You know what happens? Think about during the season, what happens, right? Your running backs are getting hurt. I wish I had a backup. Oh, crap. Even a mediocre RB would be great here. I've got nothing. I got to spend my FOP. No, use the pick. Well, again, let's go back to the zone here, okay? Use the pick. Here, let me go to the 50s where, this is around where you're getting these QBs, right? Josh Jacobs is there. Dalton Kincaid. I could get an extra running back. Don't take Jaden Reed. I go, no good. But James Cook is here. Mixon, Rashad White. Wouldn't you rather have a third running back, a backup running back, as opposed to, a QB6 that might not be any different from QB8, 9, 10, or 11? I'm going to prove that point to you as we continue going through this. So waiting on QB will be how we make the monies this year, guys. Stick with me, be focused, and don't get sucked in to the name. All right, so CJ Stroud, great. Dak Prescott, nothing at RB this year. He was fantastic last season just throwing to CeeDee Lamb. He does run a little bit with the football. So, again, QB7 overall, Dak Prescott, can't go wrong. Fine. Elite. But still, we can continue to wait if we want. I've got him ranked number 65 overall. Again, let me scroll down here in the rankings. See if I can even find him. Yeah, see, I can't even find Dak. Wait a minute. What number do they have him? Yeah, 96 overall. I mean, that's crazy. So we'll lower him down. But overall, that's a guy you can wait on. You waited till pick 96 and you got Dak Prescott as your QB1. So wait on QB. You're going to get a stud later in the draft. Now, I like Dak a little bit more than some other people, but whatever. At QB8 overall, I've got Kyler Murray in there. The addition of Marvin Harrison Jr., great. Trey McBride is there doing his thing. So some fresh weapons for Kyler Murray. He kind of is who he is, though. He's not really been a quarterback that's given us much more than 22, 23 fantasy points per game. Not getting super excited, but I think he will be a useful late pick in your redraft league, and he'll do fine. He'll carry you through, no problem. Jordan Love is very similar to Kyler Murray for me. Solid. Nothing he does is going to score that great. He's a pocket passer. He'll have his big games. He kind of had a run of big games last year. I think he's a little overhyped, overinflated right now. But where he is at QB9, that's fine. QB 10 overall, Joe Burrow, been hurt the last couple of years, but when he stayed healthy, he's been a very productive fantasy quarterback. Again, another pocket passer, all good, nothing super special. One thing you're going to notice here, these guys, I don't think there's any difference between Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Stroud. They're all kind of the same thing for me. And what I mean by that is maybe one guy averages one, maybe two more fantasy points more per week over the course of a season. The gaps are not huge. So I'm going to give a couple of points here. Again, in your redraft league, we want to have, when you wait on quarterback, what you're doing is you're gaining a positional advantage somewhere else. I have an extra wide receiver that's elite. I got Cooper Kupp when you were taking Josh Allen, and Cooper Kupp's having a big season. That's why I'm winning, right? Or I get a bonus running back when you took your quarterback. So I have a third running back on a depth running back or a fourth guy, something like that, where in redraft, waiting on QB gives you a positional edge. I'm going to give you another name here in a second. My QB 11 overall that I think can elevate to a potential, top 3 or 4 scoring QB, even as a rookie. And that's Jaden Daniels, QB 11 overall. Now, here's the story with Jaden Daniels. I believe you can get this player as the last person in your redraft league to take a quarterback, period. Wait as long as you want. He's going to be there, right? And I don't mean wait till pick 16 or 17 when everybody's filled out their benches, but I'm saying you could wait all the way to the point when you're drafting where you filled up all your positions. You've even got a couple of bench spots in there, except for QB. And then boom, Jaden Daniels is hanging out there. A running quarterback that can throw. Jaden Daniels can do everything. In college, he could run it. He could throw it. He ran for over 1,000 yards, which is crazy. And the arm looked really, really good. So everything about the Jaden Daniels profile says monster fantasy production. Now, that doesn't mean that the Commanders are going to win a lot of games this year. Those two things have nothing to do with one another. I don't know if they're going to be good this year or not. Don't really care. But I do want the quarterback to produce. And Jaden Daniels is our cheat code quarterback for 2024. The last QB picked as a starter in your redraft league has the ability to produce QB 1, 2, 3 overall type numbers. Would it shock me if Jaden Daniels' average fantasy points at the end of a season is 22, 23, something above 20? It would not shock me at all. And Josh Allen comes in at like 26. It's not like the best guys are averaging 30. So if I can get 22, 23 out of Jaden Daniels within a point or two of Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, any of those guys, or even Anthony Richardson, who I put in the elite tier as well, but I take him as the last QB, I'm going to get a positional edge on my teammates. If I take a guy like this, if I take any of these running QBs, I am grabbing a second QB a little bit sooner. I want to make sure I have a pretty good backup. So, number 12 overall, rounding out that top 12, I got Brock Purdy over there. He's fine. Caleb Williams, the rookie, QB 13 overall with Chicago. Lots of weapons for Caleb. So all good there. And then, of course, your standard group of pocket passers, Goff, Tua, Lawrence, Herbert, even Kirk Cousins. The teardrop happens right here at QB 19 with Deshaun Watson. I don't trust Deshaun Watson at all. So in super draft leagues, be a little bit careful of Deshaun Watson. I think he's got some upside. We did see, I'm going to tell you what I think about Deshaun. We did see Flacco do well in that role, but here's my concern with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson got paid an ungodly amount of money. He was embarrassed by the NFL over the massage stuff. And I kind of think he doesn't give a fuck. I think he's got that money, hundreds of millions of dollars, and he doesn't really care. He wants to enjoy life. He wants to say, fuck everybody. Let me enjoy life and my hundreds of millions of dollars. So there is some IDGAF risk with Deshaun Watson. Just keep that in mind. He might not have this pride where he wants to show he's a great football player, and rather he wants to show that, fuck it, I got hundreds of millions of dollars. Fuck all y'all. That could be what Deshaun is doing. I don't know. So be careful with him. Rounding out, though, I have one more cheat code quarterback, really two, but one more cheat code quarterback that I really think is even in a super flex league, or more so in best ball, where we need at least 2 and probably 3 quarterbacks in most of these. So I want to talk about this quarterback who I'm excited to draft I've got him ranked massively above his ADP because no one likes this kid, and that's Daniel Jones, New York Giants. Everybody hates Daniel Jones. They forget that it was just the end of 2022 when this kid put up a string of games with 30-plus fantasy points. They forget how much fantasy upside Daniel Jones has because he always gets hurt. Plus, he's been on a Giants team that has had nothing going on at wide receiver for the last few years. And I mean nothing. So what changed? Well, number one, they added Malik Neighbors in the draft, stud top 10 wide receiver pick. Number two, Wan'Dale Robinson emerged last year as a pretty useful player on this team. So they at least have a couple of weapons for Daniel Jones, and they Sterling Shepard's back, whoever they're rolling out at WR3. They're not much going on at tight end either, but whatever. Jones can also get it done with his legs. So this is the kind of player. Now, it's a high risk, high return situation, even in best ball, because Jones has a history of getting hurt. And a lot of what I'm really looking for in a best ball league is just consistency. So when I do hit up Jones and you get him very late, actually, let's pull it up here. How far? Let's see how far down the list I have to go to get to Daniel Jones. Yeah, he almost doesn't get drafted. And this is a format where 3 QBs should be drafted. But Drake May, Daniel Jones, 193, 195. This is absolutely... See, look at the projection compared to the ADP as an example. And I don't really buy these projections. I don't know where they come from. But what's important to note is at 195, there's just no one else. It's a garbage pick. You're taking him. There's no real other competition for, let's look at them all. And I'll scroll down to 195 or that area here just to show kind of who's available at this point. Yeah. Backup running backs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dameon Pierce, people who aren't going to play, Devontae Walker, Darius Slayton. Again, garbage players here. So he's in a full garbage player zone where there's no one here to help us. So Braylon Allen's going ahead of him. Luke McCaffrey, who probably won't see a snap, is going ahead of him. Backup running backs, injured running backs, all this garbage going ahead of him. So basically, Daniel Jones is a free player in best ball. And the best part about grabbing him in best ball is you don't have to decide which weeks to play a player like that. He's just going to pop in there when he puts up his 30s. I love that pick. I think it's a cheat code for your best ball league or for your super flex league where you have to start two. All right, just a real quick run through of the rest of these guys. Drake May, I like him a little bit more than the field as well. He's my QB 24 overall. Did I mention? Oh, you know what? I skipped a bunch of people here. Matthew Stafford, fine. Pocket passer, probably will never get you more than 20 fantasy points. Baker Mayfield, a little bit better than him. Probably, a 20-point-a-game guy, consistent. Aaron Rodgers, no idea what we're going to get here, but I highly doubt we see, anything great, right? These are just going to be pocket passers, the type of quarterbacks that average between 16 to 18 fantasy points per week, a couple touchdowns, 220 yards, not much with their legs, that kind of thing. So Daniel Jones is that player that can pop. And Drake May is a little bit surprising. No one likes Drake May, but Drake May got it done with his legs in college too. People don't realize he's a running quarterback. The closest comp for Drake May, according to Player Profiler, is actually Josh Allen. He is more of a running quarterback than people think. He's got more fantasy upside than people think. So at 24 overall, rounding out my top 24 RBs for 2024 is Drake May. And guys, like I said, really important to just note that if we're talking redraft, positional edge is gained by waiting on QB. Every time you take a position player, when somebody else takes a QB, you have a bonus at that position. You take an RB, now you got an extra RB. And again, if you can match their early QB, if I can get the production of one of these guys, if I can match Allen or Hurts or Mahomes with someone like Jaden Daniels or even Dak Prescott, who I got 4 or 5 rounds later, that is how you win your redraft league. That's going to help you win your best ball league. That's the biggest cheat code of all. So wait on QB. It is the cheat code for all formats of fantasy football. Guys, I am breaking down all the best ball rankings, all the redraft rankings right here on the DFS Army YouTube channel, Bolt Call Fantasy Football Podcast. We are going to be doing live streams and all of that stuff. I've dropped the links to some Beat the Geek Underdog contests. I'm going to show you these right here as well. I'm dropping these fresh links all the time where you can take me on. You could take me on. Here we go. Active drafts. Here we go. We're starting to fill up some of these leagues. They're $5 entry, 12-man leagues. A lot of what I talk about in terms of strategy for best ball is designed for these type of leagues. I'll do them at all price ranges, but the key in this style of league in terms of strategy is just making sure you're getting production from every position. Waiting on QB is very, very useful here because in this league, especially, I want that extra running back. Running backs get hurt a lot. You can really gain an edge by making sure that you have running backs scoring for you week after week after week. So waiting a little bit on QB. I do take 3 quarterbacks. I like to take 5 running backs in these league types, but I'm going to win these leagues. I'm going to teach you guys how to crush it. See how I draft. That's one of the reasons why you want to join these. But anyway, you want to take on other DFS Army subscribers, members, all that stuff. Link in the description below to these 5. And I'll keep dropping fresh links as these fill up. And we'll keep them going here throughout the month of July. So we have lots and lots of leagues playing against one another. Why mock draft when you can pay $5 and actually draft with something on the line? That'll do it for this breakdown, guys. That's my top 24 QBs for 2024. Cheat code Jaden Daniels. Wait on QB. Crush your fantasy leagues. Crush your redraft league this year by waiting on QB. And then, of course, in best ball, wait. Daniel Jones, Jaden Daniels types. Get those guys, and then get the reliable quarterback in there as well, like a Baker Mayfield or something. Get a Mr. Reliable in there just to make sure that if you get hurt in 1 or 2 spots, you have somebody scoring for you. Good luck this season, guys, and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.